for this learning session together. There's great interest in the South Suburban and Cook County land banks, and we are delighted to have the right audience and the right experts in the room to learn together and to put these tremendous new tools to work. I want to introduce a little bit about why the Metropolitan Planning Council offered to partner with the land banks in putting together this workshop, and then set the stage a little bit for today before we turn it over to our panel and discussions and dialogue. The Metropolitan Planning Council is celebrating its 80th year this year, and some of the things that we reflect on as ingredients of how we get things done actually turn out to be the same things I'm seeing the land banks deploying to get their work done. So I think it's just a good reminder about why this city, why this region works, why we are able to be productive about addressing our biggest challenges. So the Metropolitan Planning Council is known for bringing the right institutions together. We do that across the private sector, across government, across community organizations, and a lot of times people pay that lip service, but we know the value of figuring out who the people are that you need to get in the room and use those relationships or build new relationships to get things done. That's the same kind of partnership that the land banks are working to build. So it's kind of a no excuses approach, that if you know you need some certain kind of expertise or perspective, you need to go make it easy for people to come to the table. So we hope that's one of the ways that you will help us as a result of today is identify those people who need this information so that we can stay in touch with them as well, even if they weren't in the room. We also believe in talking about our many assets as a metropolitan region and making them work together. The ripple effect, the return on investments when you deploy land and financing and leadership and environmental, economic, cultural assets together is so powerful, and this region is known for doing it better than many other places. And the final thing is to make sure that we're not just thinking about today, that we're looking long term. And that is very much part of the mission of the land banks, is making sure that we're making good decisions that will be good for future generations and generate the kind of future that we all want. So the reason why I'm delighted to join you in setting the stage today is that I was invited to participate in the Cook County Land Bank Advisory Committee. I was approached, this was summer, right around this time in 2012, President Frankel called, and we at MPC have already been involved with our South Suburban partners in creating a collaborative to work on housing foreclosure issues and then tools coming out of that collaborative, including the creation of a land bank. So South Suburban blazed the trail, and Cook County looked around the country and said, we can do this. We can do it probably better than other places. And so to see where we are today is very gratifying. So a couple of things to set the stage. First of all, why would we need a land bank? The 2010 census shows us that 200,000 housing units at that time were vacant in Cook County. And we all know firsthand the joy that those vacant and abandoned properties place on our quality of life, our tax base, the joy on our competitiveness collectively. And while today, as an update on the 2010 census, the recovery is proceeding, it is very uneven in our region. And many communities are seeing some increase in market activity, but others are not. DePaul University's data helps us understand this. Neighborhoods experiencing declines in housing prices are the places where we've seen 27% growth in foreclosure filings. So that's the negative part of the story. And in some Chicago neighborhoods, south and west sides, 1 in 6 homes is a vacant home. So land banks are a solution to this major challenge. Not the only solution, but a big tool that we didn't have before, and now we do. So the land banks are stepping forward to fill this need. The organizing came from multiple places, as I mentioned, serving on the advisory committee for the land bank. I've served on my share of task forces in my time in both government and now in the not-for-profit sector. I have never been involved with a task force that moved this quickly. It was convened in early fall. It was given until late fall to complete its work, so by November, preliminary report, final report by December. The ordinance was introduced to the Cook County Board in January, passed in February with the board named immediately, and then applications for funding submitted in March. I mean, it was boo-boo-boo, and that's the way these things have to work if you're going to be strategic and opportunistic. So that was exciting to see that strong partnership at work, both at the advisory council level and then at the board. We see this strong partnership ingredients. The leadership has continued to represent on both land banks civic, financial, legal, community development professionals. We also, at the time of the formation of the Cook County Land Bank, had significant assistance from the Urban Land Institute. Technical Assistance Panel is a tool that they use both nationally and in this region. The District Council for ULI is the strongest ULI District Council in the country. And so putting that group of professionals to work helped us hear from more than 100 stakeholders. The South Suburban Housing Collaborative came out of the leadership of the South Suburban Mayors and Managers and represents 24 South Suburban communities. They got started in 2009. And both land banks, I'm very pleased to report, and you'll see this in action today, are working closely together. The land banks are, I think, filling a void because of their nimbleness, because of their flexibility, because of their ability to respond to needs and bring the different players together. So the partners are ever-changing. I want to recognize, in addition to South Suburban Mayors and Managers at the Cook County level, key leaders were, of course, Commissioner Bridget Gaynor, President Tony Preckinghill, and literally hundreds of people who generously gave of their time. But the models are a little different, and I think it's important to reflect on that when we learn from each of the land banks and how to access and how to interact effectively and productively with each of them. The South Suburban Land Bank grew out of municipal leadership. It is anchored by a very strong council of government, the South Suburban Mayors and Managers. And we brought in national experts. Both processes of forming land banks were benefited by a group called the Center for Community Progress, which is really the preeminent leader on land banks around the country. And we were able to learn about things we wanted or didn't want, similarities, but we also quickly determined that there was no one land bank model around the country that was exactly right for our needs here. So St. Louis, probably too liberal, Twin Cities, maybe too rigid, Detroit, too many land banks that weren't working together. There were a lot of interesting lessons that we benefited from. And so the Land Bank Authority in Cook County today is the biggest in the country. And that's important, to have the scale to deal with the scale of the problem that we face and to unlock that economic impact. Another way that the Cook County land bank is different, in addition to the obvious one of scale, is having an independent board. So it's quasi-governmental, a little bit more like the Cook County Hospital in relation to county government, and that gives it some tremendous flexibility. So these two land banks are new, and you might have started to read more about them in the newspaper. In Cranes recently, Brian was his tractor case was right there, right on the front of Crane's front page. And that kind of attention is really important because a lot of people haven't heard about the land bank or can't spend the time or don't really even know about gatherings like today. So the buzz is growing. And the resources are secured. These two land banks went in jointly, thanks to the national opportunity through a joint Attorneys General settlement on foreclosures, and secured $6 million together to help start up the land banks. So not only is there good strategy and structure and leadership, but some dollars to actually get things done. The South Suburban Land Bank, hats off to them for also securing $500,000 through IRA, through their abandoned properties program. So I think that's why Cranes and other media are noticing and commenting on the potential of this land bank. Today, we've seen the first 2 transactions from Cook County, and that's only a year and a half after startup, and of course staff has been on board much more recently. And that those first 2 transactions happened last month. the South Suburban Land Bank has a little bit more time and experience under the belt, and they have demonstrated their value as well in doing 6 property transactions, and both entities have many more in the pipeline. Today is about learning, and I'm delighted that you'll have a chance to hear from a number of our strong partners, and any of us want to help demystify this process. That's what this morning is about, but if you have questions that don't get answered, there are people here from MPC, from the land bank staff, that are delighted, and many others are delighted to answer those questions. I just want to acknowledge a couple of my team members, MarySue, who directs our community development and housing program. We also have Brianne Gala, who has been involved with working with me and MPC on the land bank since day one. And Yonina Gray, who I'm going to introduce next, my colleague who is going to be helping facilitate today. So those are the people that you might want to have a chance to say hello to this morning. And I just want to thank the private bank, thank our partners for making today possible. And we hope you'll come to us for ideas about other ways we can help ensure the success of the land banks. Thank you for your attention, and again, let me welcome my colleague, Yonina Gray.